Can anybody hear me? Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Anybody hear me out there? Test, test 1, 2. Perfect. Okay, so I changed the resolution rate, and I think that solved a lot of problems. My pointer focus should be coming into the screen here. I think there's about a 5 or 10 second delay. There we go. Okay, so I think we are possibly good here. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, guys, I am back. So let's see what happens here. I don't see the little circle thing popping up in the in my screen, so it looks like the timing of this. And here we're back to the just a like 2 or 3 second delay. So I think we're good. Everybody still hear me okay? And when I say everybody, I mean all 2 of you. All right, so let's give it just a second here. Let me not that anybody is a lot of people are watching, but okay, so let's go over to Bitcoin, and what I'm looking at right now is a daily chart. Okay. Still want to make sure. Okay, good. Only a 2 or 3 second delay. I like it. Okay. So, as I've pointed out for a long time, I mean, even going back, to late 2018, we knew we were going to go in this long, drawn out, sideways, little bumpy kind of action right in here. We're still there, right? Nothing's really changed. But I do think that this bottom could be an important bottom. Now, why do I say that? Well, it bottomed here, came up, and then made a lower low. So what's happening now is that the bears are trying to drive this down from back here. If this area right here breaks, that's why I think we go up into here. That's my whole reasoning. I'm not calling for a massive rally, but it's just progress, right? And it could take a long time to get through this. Bitcoin came up and got rejected at the 100 EMA right here, and so yeah, the next step for me, I think, if it gets through that, is going to be up here at the 200 EMA and the 200 simple moving average right there. That's going to be major resistance. And you can see I got a fib cluster up there. Those are both major ones. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's just a slow grind until we get these, you can see we're above the smaller moving averages, but it takes time for these to come down, and then you have to work your way up, come back, retest, and go up, and you have to get them all lined up in the right direction. So, we'll see what happens. Any questions? Yeah, much better, Derek. Yeah, exactly. I changed the resolution rate. I just went in there and down, because it's like thinking I've got like a 4K monitor and I don't. So I changed that up. Medium term lower than 2,000. No. I will say this. I mean, obviously, if we break this area down here, I mean, if we go below 3,000, we're going probably below 2,000. I mean, that's my guess, but we still have some support down in this area right here, which is just under 3,000. So you may see, who knows? I mean, we could see like a, go up maybe into here and then a drop down to here, right? To get everybody all scared and get out, and that's where you find maybe the ultimate bottom. But who's to say that this isn't the bottom? We don't know. I mean, I think, and I'll go pull up a weekly chart and let's go take a look. I think that really shows everything. and I'll zoom in. I mean, and this is what I pointed out, is that, look at this, guys. I mean, yeah, that's parabolic. We've dropped 80% right here. That's 80% from the all-time high, right? Look how important this area is. That old resistance, right, where it got stopped, it came down, came back and retested and went up. That's huge support right there. So, you know, part of my thinking, yeah, if we drop below this green line right here, we could drop all the way down here to the next zone and next fib. So we'll see what happens. I'll zoom in a little bit and let you take a look at it. And what an amazing job of, you know, we finally got the 200 EMA that popped up back in here when I first saw it. And now we've got enough data that it's coming into play. So it's holding that area. Let's see. And look at this. I mean, you know, you got this little choppy kind of up move here. So let's see what happens. Angry phase of capitulation. Yes, we are. And sorry about the sniffles, guys. I've had this for quite a while, so. Rising wedge on the weekly. Where are you seeing that at? I don't see a rising wedge. I mean, I saw a parabolic move and I saw the drop here, but I don't see it. I don't see a rising wedge in here. Maybe back here, but that didn't even count as a rising wedge. Yeah, keto flu. There you go, Derek. That's right. I am on the keto diet, so could possibly be. But it's like I've been saying, guys. I mean, this is the time where, you know, that's one thing about bear markets is that you're going to get violent drops out of nowhere, but you're also going to get times like this where you're going to go consolidate, you know. And doesn't this just look kind of, I don't know, it almost has that kind of cupping feeling to it, right? That it could take a little longer. And personally, I would not mind one bit if we just kind of chop and just go up 100, come down 50, up 100 more, down 50, and just kind of chop up. I wouldn't mind that. I mean, a lot of people are expecting some big boom and we go. You know, that's not happening. Not in my opinion. I think it's just more chop, continue slow grind up, and go that way. I mean, look back here. When it was in this move right here, look at all these weeks right here where it just chopped up and then broke past some resistance and moved up, and then it came back and retested up again. That's what I'd like to see. And then, of course, you got the parabolic move that started right there in, what, late 2017? So that's kind of what I'd like to see right here, is just build a base right in this area and just take your time about it. No, last 5 or 6 candles? No, that's not a rising wedge. No, this is a, to me, at least, in my opinion, I could be wrong, this is just a bottoming phase right here. This is just, we're trying to bottom out. And what could end up happening, you can see on the weekly, we're coming up and hitting that 20 EMA. You know, look at the strong wick off of it. That's resistance. That's like you get up here and it wants to break out and it hits the 20 and says, nope, you're not going any further. And then it backs off and now it's trying to chew through that little area, and you want that 10 EMA to start hooking up. It's like I've talked about time and time again. That 10 EMA is just holding it right now. Look at that. It's just hugging it. And so if it can get up and push through that, you know, you might even get a run into the, what, 5,000s? But it's going to be tough, guys. It's going to be tough, but I like the price action. I mean, I like the way it's performing. And then, of course, once you get a 10 EMA cross through the 20, you want to see it come back, retest, and then continue on higher. But as you can see, guys, I mean, we're a long ways out. It's look at the, go down here and look at the months. I mean, this could go maybe into springtime, May, June, July. Yeah, we could be looking at something like that, maybe even longer. I mean, it could be even September or whatnot. But now is the time that you take advantage of it and just, you know, it's like I say, I mean, a lot of people get into the habit of just buying everything and then selling it all. Why not buy some, sell part of it, make enough profit that you can keep some? You know, don't just sell it everything. Yeah, in fact, let me pull that up. That's a good point. I meant to. It is the end of the month, so I wanted to look at that. And isn't that interesting? Yeah, looky here. I mean, so you get a bullish engulfing right here. You get a bullish engulfing on the monthly, and then you get enough data on the monthly that you got the 50 EMA holding as support right down here. Isn't that interesting? But we've still got resistance right up in here. You know, you got to get past the 23, you know, 0.6 fib, and then, you know, the 38.2 is going to, that's always a tough one. So that's going to be a major hurdle. Not only that, but you got the 10 and 20 EMAs up here, so that's going to be resistance. But anyway, it's a good start. You know, I mean, it's a slow grind. It's just going to take a while. But who's to say this isn't the bottom? You know, that's why I just look at them day to day and see what happens. But I do like that. Thanks, Chris. I meant to look at that, but yeah, that's a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern right there on the monthly. So, but the key is going to be the next candle. It's got to follow through. You know, you could very easily get a bullish engulfing right here and then get a big red one right down that overcomes it. So we'll see what happens. So did what I say, you know, earlier just make sense about, you know, when you buy something? You know, I think JAA and the channel, you know, he admitted that it's, you know, you want to try to do that, but you can't. It's hard to do. You know, you want to get in and you see how much money you've made and you want to just sell it all and cash it out. But well, you know, you're so programmed into thinking that everything's going lower. And I haven't browsed around on Twitter enough to see what everybody's saying, but I would almost bet that 90% of people are probably thinking it's going lower. That Bitcoin's going down to 1,000 or it's going, you know. Well, when I start seeing stuff like that, I tend to want to go the opposite way. Everybody's programmed into thinking now because of a bear market that it's going lower, and it's just the opposite of what happened back in here, right? How many people were calling for 100,000 or 200,000 back in here when everybody was all excited, making all this money, everything looks great, you know, we're going to the moon. Well, what happens? Boom. So you know, and look how long this took. I mean, I just want to see slow progression to the upside and no major, you know. Now, of course, if we get some sort of news about the ETF, then that might change things, and you'll get shorts covering, and it'll go parabolic again. But I would just rather see slow, steady grinding up to the, you know, to the upside. And here's the other thing. Oh yeah, there you go, Chris. Yeah, using alts. Absolutely. I mean, and here's the thing on alts is that, has anybody noticed that you get these, and I'm sure some of them had news or whatever, but it's like I talked about last night, there's some rotation going on. So, you know, you look at what TRX had a big move with that, whatever news that was they had. ONT made a move. You know, ZRX last night or day before, you know, it had a move. So people are going to start looking at what, you know, alts are beaten down. And I'm sure there's going to be some groups out there that are going to pump stuff up or whatever. But if you pick the right ones and you've got some patience, eventually they're going to hit them and they're going to pump them for you. Right? I mean, they're not going to stick around. They're, you know, they see ONT pump up. They get in, they get out, it drops, they move on to the next one. And I think that's what's going to happen. So, you know, just keep an eye out on some of your favorite ones. And if you see one that's beaten down quite a bit and it's good and solid and has what you think is, you know, decent fundamentals, then stick with it, because eventually they're going to come around and people are going to start moving. So how did the last ZRX trade. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull it up here real quick. And I wish I had the chart, and I saved it, but I'll do it this way. Okay, so, you know, ZRX, basically, it going back, and I'll just pull up the whole thing here. It had this support right in this area, and that's why I put the green line, right? That was a support zone, big time. Well, when it broke through it, you saw a lot of panic, right? Or so-called panic. So what happens? You get a move down like this, but then somebody came in and bought it, and it bounced, went up here, sold it back off. People were still panicking. Oh, it's going lower, lower, lower. And then somebody bought it back again. They're accumulating. They get out. They see a pump. I want to get out, get out, get out. And then you get this move. And you come back and it wants to retest the old support line, which is now, by the way, change that color, which is now new resistance, right? And on that chart that I had, I thought I had some fib levels in here, but I also had that it was a falling wedge, right? So let's do this. I wish, let's just do it this way. And I posted about this, right? And I said, that's a falling wedge right there. I said, be on alert, that's a falling wedge. And if it breaks out of that, boom, there you go. Hey, Joe, what's up? Good to see you, buddy. You know, when you start seeing this little choppy action in a downtrend like this, that's a falling wedge, right? Classic definition. And so when you break through, you come up, and now you want to come back and test that part of the wedge right there. So we'll see if it holds it. You know, if it does, then it could possibly move up and maybe break through. But I think it had some fib levels in here. It didn't close above the 50 EMA, but all in all, a good move. You know, and that's what's happening is you're going to see some choppiness. You're not going to see just like major outbreaks. You're going to get, I think TRX was probably 1 in a million. You know, you get something like that happens, and or that TRX and XRP cross type deal, or even TX BTC. But yeah, I mean, and you're right, Joe. Yeah, they retest the line they broke out from all the time. You know, it's just like the old support, new resistance. You know, or vice versa. They come back and test it and see if they can get back through, and when they can't, they want to drop lower. So now it's just a matter of, you know, can it just hold, chop around, and then move back up? Simple stuff. And that's why I say, I mean, everybody wants to use all these fancy schmancy, you know, indicators and yada, yada, yada. Stick with works the best and something simple, you know. Lines are good. Lines are good. Wedges, flags, old support, new resistance, Fibonacci, candlesticks. You know, a lot of people don't look at candlesticks very much. You know, I think candlesticks play their part. So that is ZRX and how I came up with that. Now, I will say this. I was wrong back, I want to say it was back in here maybe? I think I was wrong back in here. I can't remember what it was, but I got stopped out somewhere back in here. And I can't remember what it was. It's been a while back, obviously, but I was trying to remember what it was that I saw. Yeah, anyway. Long story short, I was wrong somewhere back in here, I want to say. So, anyway, if you had a stop loss, you're fine, but that's part of the game. You got to have a stop loss. But back in here, you know, that's a good trade right in there. When you start seeing something like that happen, yeah, and you start seeing the momentum slow down on the selling side, you just know somebody's slowly accumulating. So, anyway, that was a good one. I wish I could quit the sniffling. Anybody want to look at anything? Let's see, LTC. I know we got a lot of LTC fans in here. Let's see. Or people, I love LTC, by the way. Yeah, I mean, it much like Bitcoin, it had that red candle right there, and that's going to be the key to get back above. You know, that was one that kind of killed the momentum, but it needed to be killed. You know, it's part of retracement and whatnot. If it cannot get back above there, then you could almost expect like a correction down. And like I said earlier, I do not want to see, and I'll scroll in and zoom in here a little bit. I don't want to see LTC get like down below here, that area. I mean, if it does, it's got to be like a quick spike type of thing and not a candle close. So, you know, if it wants to spike down to the 61.8, that's fine, but get back, you know, it needs to bounce hard off of it. I would prefer it not to go below the 50% retracement, but I'm perfectly fine if it just spikes a little bit to the 61.8 and then takes off from there. So anything below that, it's gone lower. Joe, you got any thoughts, man? You bullish, bearish? EOS. Let's take a look. Joe is bearish. Okay. Bobby Crypto bullish. All right, let's take a look at EOS. Did EOS have? You want to look at the dollar pair, or do you want to look at the BTC pair, Chris? BTC. All right. Wow, been a while since I looked at that one. September. All right, so you guys are going to get some live watching as I do my thing. So let's get rid of all these lines here and let's see what we got. All these fibs. Okay, so that's interesting. It's very interesting. Okay, so let's do this. And this is just simple stuff, guys. Just going back and looking at previous times where it hit a wall and broke down. All right. Okay. Now let's do this. Let's zoom in a little bit and do a fib on it. If I can get my eyeballs working, here we go. And let's see, that was the 78.6, so it broke through that. Take that out. All right, so that's one. Oh, okay. Now let's go to the bigger one. And let's see what lines up here. 38.2. I broke that. Okay, so wow. It's kind of a nice little semi V there. That was nice. Man, I should have been watching EOS. Okay, so it popped above, spiked above the resistance line and hit the 1.272 retracement. Let's look at some fib retracements here and see. This actually looks kind of bullish, really. And this is bigger retracement here. Let's see, 38, 23. Yeah, it's past that. All right, we'll just do that. Only those, and then let's go down here and do this. Okay. God, you gotta love those fib clusters, right? So when you do fib retracements from multiple areas, you can find, like, if you see two lining up in the same spot, look at that. That's pretty. That's like a good little area that you might get a bounce off of, and you might be able to play it, right? So when you do Fibonacci, don't just draw from one spot to another. Draw it from multiple spots, and if they match up, and you can get rid of the ones that don't line up, and that'll make your chart look a lot neater. But that's what happened here. Hit a fib cluster. Yeah, this area right in here is one you have to get past, and then it's got resistance up in here, so it's got some stuff to chew through, and especially up here with the that next red line, which is also a resistance line. I mean, if we go back here, right, see that was support at one time, and then it broke through and then couldn't get through. See where it broke through it, came down, tried to get back through and couldn't. That's how you draw it, right? And that's how you know that that's resistance. So much as this back in here. So yeah, that's an interesting. I mean, and then you got the moving averages. It's kind of stuck between the 10 and the 20. You got the 50 coming up. Stock RSI is low. So can it get back through that? That's the whole thing right there. That's nice. I like that one. I'm going to be watching. Going to save it. Okay. Yeah, Bobby, it does. Yeah, exactly. All bots and whales. Well, Joe, if it's all bots and whales, then, I mean, my point about the rotation, that wouldn't seem to, if it's all bots and whales, then they're all going to move in unison, right? So, I mean, I get it that there's probably some bots out there, but I just think that there's people playing it like, you know, it's not one person out there controlling something. There's millions of people that trade crypto, I'm sure. And you got people that are pumping crypto. I mean, I don't know what kind of paid channels and whatnot are out there, but I'm sure that if somebody's running a paid channel and they say, hey, I'm buying this, and they've got 2,000 people in their channel, then that's what happens, right? Or you get news on something or whatever. Yeah, on the margin. Yeah, you got people playing on margin, which I highly do not recommend at all. Don't ever use margin, ever, ever, ever. But yeah, I think you're just seeing some rotation, and I think you're going to find that, you know, if you go find some stuff that's beat up, you know, Digibyte is another one. That's one of my long-term holds. It's been beat up for a while. I mean, yeah, there's some things that I wish the company could do better, but you know, and I was totally wrong. I thought by the end of 2018, Digibyte would be on top of the world, but I was totally wrong. Oh yeah, maxing out credit cards. Oh, good Lord. Don't do that either. Don't. Only invest what you're willing to lose. Period. That's it. Don't take out loans. Don't mortgage the house. Don't use credit cards. Just if you have, you know, whatever, you know, like if you wanted to, instead of going to the movies, why don't you take that money and just, you could put that into crypto. Right? So, you know, it's one of those things, guys. I mean, don't risk the house on this. I mean, now, could Bitcoin go to, you know, 100,000 tomorrow on an ETF decision, and JR saying don't bet the house, and all of a sudden I'm not listening to him no more? Well, I'm just trying to save you money. You know, so if it does, then it does, and if you're in it, then you're going to make money. Period. But you're not going to be a millionaire, and I think a lot of people are thinking they're going to be millionaires in this. Be smart and don't sit there and go all in on one thing. You know, be diversified. Build up a portfolio. I've been preaching about that. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but pick a chart, find a chart, whatever you like, and if the chart looks right, then get into it, right? But don't sit there and go all in. You know, do 50% of what you've got, or 30%. And then if it makes that move and you've got profit, don't sell it all. Keep some. Keep some, you know, just sell a quarter of it. Keep some of it. But enough that you get your original investment out plus a little profit, and then you keep a small amount and just build, build, build. That's how the smart people do it. They don't just go all in and then all out. Because what happens is just like JAA said the other night. He said he did that, and now what's he doing? He has no position, yet he's sitting there And now he's like, okay, do I get back in or do I not? You know, and you got that constant thinking in your head, and then what ends up happening is emotion takes over, and you get in, and then it starts dropping, and you lose. So, and then you wiped out whatever you had. So, build a portfolio, and just, you know, do it that way. Hang on 1 second. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so what does anybody want to look at? Let's see here. Chris, what do you got? Suggestion about the bags left over from last year. Yeah. Okay, so it's much like what I said, you know, earlier, and it depends what they are. Do you feel comfortable about the fundamentals? Do you think it was a pump and dump scam that you got into and they're just not going to go anywhere? I've been there and I've done that. And at some point, you just have to cut your losses, right? You do. I mean, if there's any capital there, and if you feel like you've learned from your past trading and you've gained experience and you know what to look for now, then cut your losses and move on. Use that capital to make money on something else. But it just depends on what it is that you're in, right? I mean, are you comfortable with it or are you not? You know, and I don't know what you're in, and it's none of my business, but that's just something you have to figure out for yourself. Me personally, if I made a mistake on something and I realized it was a pump and dump scam or whatever, I would cut my losses and move on. Otherwise, excuse me, what's going to end up happening is you're going to sit there and watch it every day, right? And you're going to be like, oh, is this thing ever going to move? Is it going to move? Yada, yada, yada. And you're just, day after day, you're going to go, man, what the hell? You know, and it eventually gets into your mind so that you can't focus on something else. So why not cut it loose, forget about it, and let it go? I mean, and what ends up happening at times is that, you know, you may feel like if you get out of it, in 2 weeks that thing may take off and you'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe I got out of it, yada, yada, and you want to chase it, and then you lose again. It's all psychology, guys. You have to get it out of your head. There's going to be losing trades. It's going to happen. I mean, it just does. It happens. But you've got to learn from your mistake, and yet at the same time have the discipline not to chase something. Just because you got out and you lost money and you want to get a revenge trade, you cannot do that. Do not try to revenge trade. Just telling you. Didn't work for me. Didn't work for a lot of people I know, and probably won't work for you. So, you know, if you know what you're doing and you're comfortable with it, you know, or you're following people and they know what they're doing, or you're comfortable with them, then yeah, move on to something else, because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of cryptos out there you can trade. Why be focused in on, you know, something you're losing money on, and you know it's a pump and dump that you got into and it's a scam or whatever. Just get out of it. That's my opinion. Yeah, let's look at them. Hang on one sec here. KMD. Let's take a look. I think I've looked at that one before somewhere in the past. Let's see if I'm lying or not. Nope, I did look at it. Back in September, actually, I looked at it. Wow. Okay. Interesting. And see, look at this. Here's what I'm talking about. You get these little bottoming out kind of patterns like this, and then all of a sudden it wants to break out. All right? I mean, it took it a long time, but it broke out. Look at that. So let me redo these fibs since it's been September-ish. I can't even remember where I drew some of these from. Let's see. Let's just get rid of it. Let's get rid of that. And what did I draw that for? Let's get rid of that. And let's get rid of that. So on the daily, let's get rid of that. And that. And let's get rid of all these while we're at it. All right, clean chart. Let's just go in here and take a look. So first thing I want to do is I want to do a fib from here to here. Wow, nice double bottom right there. So it broke through that or spiked above it. And went to the 161. All right. So the next one is going to be the 261. Let's go ahead and change that color to where we can read it. There we go. All right. So now that we've got that one, let's go back and do back here. Now, Chris, are you long-term or short-term on KMD? And by the way, if you ask about the chart, just tell me if you're long or short-term on it. You know, if you're looking at what your time frame is, or you want to get in and out quick, or is it a long-term hold? Because I'm looking at daily charts. So short term. Okay. All right, so now that you've said that, let me at least just do this. Format, let's go. That looks like a 50% retracement. Yeah, close. Interesting. Okay. Let's do that, and then we'll switch over to a 4-hour chart. Okay, so that's rather interesting. Okay, let's do. Boy, it's a volatile one, isn't it? Look at that range. Look at that range right there. So you've got something maybe like this. Let's go. And I'm going to take out, I'm not worried about that wick. That wick is wicked. So could you have possibly a something like this? Or could you have something like this? So here's the thing, is that you could have this rising wedge here, or if you're going off wicks more so, which means you would have to bring this one down, you know, and let's just draw it out. You got two possible plays here. All right, so you've either got a rising wedge in here if you're just going off candles and where they close, or do you have a longer term ascending wedge, right? Ascending means that it's going higher. So those are the things you have to watch out for. And then just draw your fibs on retracements, and that'll pretty much tell you the whole story. And me, as a rule of thumb, if it gets below the 78.6, and really, in my opinion, the 61.8 is the golden number for me, you know. But a lot of stuff in crypto seems to bounce at the 78.6 for whatever reason. But let's do this. We'll get that out of there. Okay. So you can see right here that the 78.6 on that retracement right there was the one that held on the wick, right? Had that wick down and then bounced right off of it, just like a springboard. So I think, you know, I'm going to start having to change my thinking on crypto a little bit as far as Fibonacci goes, and I'm going to start watching more, I guess, the 78.6 retracement. It just seems to be like for God knows whatever reason, the 78.6 is like a golden number in crypto. So that's the one you want to watch. HZ. Okay. Let's see. Let's look at BTC long term. And I know that Chris wanted to look at that too. All right. So let's go back to Bitcoin. Oop, wait a second. I need to save that chart. And that'll be a good one to come back to. Let's see how it plays out. You know, I mean, that could go either way, and I don't know that I would want to make a guess on that one right now. I really don't. I think there's just too many other things that, you know, could play out. Although that is bullish, you know, breaking above there, but that choppiness in an uptrend like that, it's almost like the reverse of ZRX, you know, when we were looking at it in a downtrend. So this one could go up and then just boom, hit down. So just, if you're playing it, have stop losses, in my opinion. Okay, let's go to BTC. And you guys are looking at long term, huh? Okay. And let's just do this two different ways. I'll start medium term and then I'll go to long term. But here's kind of what we got, right? And this is a daily chart. And we've been in this choppy, sideways, everybody wants to think, okay, here's a couple of candles here and it's going lower. It's going to crash, right? No, it just chops. Comes up, makes a corrective move, you get a big red stick, everybody wants to call for a crash. It's chopping right in here. Could it go a little lower? Sure it can. Could it go to the, hey, guess what? The 78.6 right here? Sure it could. My preference is that it not go below the green zone right here. That's old support, or old resistance, new support, right? We've already gone over how that works. So you've got stochastic RSI bottoming out down here. Regular RSI is strong above 50. What's changed? It's strong, right? We've had a hiccup here, and it just wants to hold this area right here and continue on upwards. It's got some areas to get through. The Bollinger Bands are, you know, it's probably one of those, if I was guessing short term, it's probably going to pinch, right? These Bollinger Bands are going to get tighter and tighter, and somewhere over in here maybe, what is that? That's the 12th of March, you know, that area, the 10th, the 12th, somewhere in there. That might be the time that it makes the decision which way it wants to go. So, and that's just eyeballing it, right? But you can see what happens when you get, you know, now if it goes way down like this, you're obviously going to get a reversal back up. But when it starts to pinch, like back in here, that's when you get your move. It's doing a good job of holding the 50 EMA, the 10 and 20. But it's got the 100 EMA right above it, which is resistance. And then, as I showed earlier, right up here, you got the 100 or the 200 simple and exponential moving averages that are going to be resistance up here. So that's on the daily chart. All right. And then if we go to a weekly chart, okay, and as I pointed out earlier, we've now got enough data that, and I'm sorry, I said 200 earlier. It's actually, I'm sure it's the 100. No, actually it is 200. The 200-day exponential moving average. There's enough data on this chart now that you can see why, you know, a lot of people, when Bitcoin was crashing, they had no idea. I mean, some people had some ideas back in here, and I'm sure it's probably because of back here, old resistance became new support right here. You also had the 200 EMA that came into play, got enough data that it finally showed itself. As long as it holds the 200 EMA, things are good. If it decides to come up here and drop back down below it, then we're looking at a move, you know, and I told the guys earlier, I said, if we drop below this line, it's going to be real tricky to hold this area. I think I had some fib numbers right in here that might hold, but I just don't think it would. I think it would drop all the way down to the next green zone over time. My opinion is that it holds this area, continues to move up here, and then possibly comes down and maybe makes a double bottom, right? To to where people panic and they're like, oh, this is the move. They panic out and then it marches on from there. So it's going to take a long time to play out, guys. It's going to take a long time. And you can see the stochastic RSI is starting to get up there, but it's not there, right? Which means it still has more room to move to the upside to get up into the oversold condition, right? So just be on alert, and regular RSI is starting to increase. So it's gaining strength, you know, and somebody, it looks like, could be accumulating. I don't know why or who or whatever, but they, you know, it's just one of those things that over time, I mean, there's people out there that have millions or if not billions of dollars, and to them, they don't care. They're just, they buy it and they see a certain price and they're like, if it gets down to here, buy it. If it gets down to there, buy it. And they don't care. They'll wait for a year if they have to, because in the long term, they know they're going to make money. Now, these are probably the people that know what's going on, or the people that just truly believe in Bitcoin and what the future holds. So I just tend to look at the chart, and to me that just looks like a, you know, it's just a, it could be like a, we'll see over time, it could be a cupping type of pattern, you know, but I just don't want to see it lose the 200 EMA or the green line right there. I don't, over the long term. Does that help? Well, and here's the other thing I'll point out, okay, and I mentioned this in a post I put on Twitter a while back, is, you know, everybody is so bearish, it seems like, and granted, we're in a bear market, but I tend to look at things like, you know, I like to go out and look at long term, right, from time to time, and just where the gauges are and what I see. But what's wrong with this chart? If that was any normal, and let's just say it's not a weekly chart, let's just say that's a 4-hour chart, or let's just say it's a daily chart, whatever, you know, anything less than a weekly chart, would that look bullish to you? It looks bullish to me, right? I mean, that just basically looks like, hell, hang on, let's just do this. Now that I'm looking at it. What if I was to do something like this? Right? What does that look like? Over the long term, does that not look like a bullish flag? Does that not look like a flag pattern? Tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, it's obviously a down channel, but that's what flags do, right? So, you know, the key is if you get above this, that's the whole key. So that's why looking at longer term charts can really help you. Now, I'm not saying that it can't go all the way down to here, or that this thing could play out for another however long this is. Look at this. It could go into August, and we could get a drop all the way down into here. We could go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and come all the way down into here before it finally took off. But it's still a flag pattern. But the point being is that it could take off from here. It just looks like it's bottoming here, right? Or trying to. So those are things you have to keep in mind. And I'm going to keep that up there, by the way. Just now saw that. I'm going to keep that up. Or could it be, it can't be. You can't really move it that way because it's already broken through. But yeah, flag pattern. So over time, I mean, it just depends on how long you want to hold or where your expectations are. But obviously, I think getting past this junk and yeah, I mean, over the long term, I think it marches higher. And I don't know what's going to cause it to go up. It could be the ETF, or it could be, who knows? Maybe somebody finds it, and maybe it is a scam. Who knows? I'm just looking at the charts. In fact, you could do it something like that. And then let's go ahead and, actually I said I was going to keep that on there. I'm going to take it off for a second. Let's go look at the monthly. We were looking at that one earlier. And kudos to Chris because he got me to look at this, but here's your monthly chart. And this probably is the better chart to look at, but look at this. You've got, like Chris said, the first time in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, right? First time in 6 months that Bitcoin has had a green candle on the monthly. First time in 6 months. And it's a bearish or bullish engulfing. So the key is going to be the next candle, right? Does it get very far? I don't think so. I think it'll find resistance here and here. And that's 4,400-ish and 5,200-ish. It's going to find some major resistance because you got this right up in here where the red line is. That was old support, right? And then once it broke it, and it broke it hard, that's now going to become major resistance. So if by chance it does get through 5,200, then 5,600, is that right? Yeah. 5,600 to 5,700, that's going to be even bigger resistance. So let's keep that in mind. Now, I will say this, the Bollinger Bands, you know, you got the upper way up here and you got the lower way down here. Those are support and resistance as well. And over time, see, look where the lower Bollinger Band is. It's right in that green zone. As it comes up, it becomes more and more support as the upper becomes resistance. But see how it's flattening out. So what I would like to see, I mean, of course, it'll take you know, a few months, but we could be in this sideways kind of up, test, up, whatnot, right in here for a while. So we'll see how it plays out. Any other questions, guys? Any charts you want to look at? Actually, I'll tell you what. Nobody's bringing it up, but I will. Let's go look at our good old friend DGB. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. I'm going to try to do more of these now that I've finally figured out what the problem is on the software side here. Things are going a little bit faster. There's not so much delay or buffering or whatnot. Yeah, look at DGB. It broke through that support line and then held it there, came back down. Look at that double bottom, guys. Look at that. Boom and boom. That's a double bottom. Those are powerful. Very powerful. Love double bottoms. And DGB is, oh wow. We'll see. It'd be nice to get it above 300. That'd be good. And look at the 10 and the 20 hooking up. 50. If we get that hooking up, that just gives it momentum to go to the upside. But it's getting extended up here, extended up in here. It's still strong, but you could expect a retracement at some point. But see, that's perfect right there. You could, you know, play a double bottom, you know, have your stop, you know, somewhere down in here. You know, DGB is always one of those that makes a decent move at times, you know, and then play that right there. How beautiful is that? And then just accumulate. You get in, you know it's a double bottom, keep your stop. As it goes up, trail your stop a little bit, but not too much. And then just watch it ride. Good stuff. Good stuff. Is there anything out there that you guys can think of that we want to look at that might be moving or possibly moving? I haven't looked at ADA in a long time. Actually, well, take that back. I did for somebody the other night. Oh yeah, here we go. So the 78.6 is some retrace. Look at that. See, guys, here's my deal where I'm gonna have to change my thinking after all these years. I mean, the 61.8 has always been the one that reverses things for the most part, but look at this. The 78.6 is the one that actually is catching all these. So let's do this. And this is a daily chart. Let's go just for giggles and grins. And let's see where the 78.6 is. It's right there, but on a bounce, that had to be the 61.8, right? Right. So it's holding the 61.8, but if it drops below that, does it bounce off the 78.6 here? Right? That could be a potential trade. You know, if you're watching it or whatnot, and you see down in here, you got your stochastic RSI that's down in here. Doesn't mean it can't go lower, but if it does, it could hit the 78.6, and you take a trade right there. And who knows if it comes up here and maybe tests this area. Any other questions, guys? And there's the cat. All right, guys. Does anybody have anything they want to say? I'm going to bounce out of here in about 2 minutes. If y'all have anything you want me to look at, speak up now, please. Oh, sorry about that. Hey, Chris, what I was saying is that you may want to go to my videos on YouTube, on the channel. I did a tutorial on Fibonacci here a while back. So just do a search on that and you should find it. If not, I'll do another one here in the future. HZ on ETH. It's pretty much fallen into the same category as Bitcoin and Litecoin. It's got some, resistance obviously right here. I'll put a line on it and show you. Horizontal ray. And let's just go do that. Okay. So, and here's the other thing with Ethereum, and this is something that you want to keep an eye on. Okay. I'm going to scroll out, but going all the way back to the top, right? This thing has here, here, back in here. It hit that trend line, that downtrend line, and just rocketed off of it. Well, we're getting close to that again, so keep an eye on this area right in here, okay? It's going to be huge. And I'm not saying this is a top for it, but it's an area to watch, right? You got a major resistance right here, look like a double top. You got EMAs right there just above it. Now, if it can break through that, okay, and I'm having like, I'm reminiscing here a little bit from way back in here, but if it can break that trend line, then you're going to get a move. A big move, right? But until it does, err on the side of caution. Okay, this area right in here is going to be tough. Okay, so that's Ethereum for you. And that's just simple stuff. I'm not using fibs. I don't think you really have to. Just take a simple line from here to there and see where that line goes. And you can see it does not want to break through. It's a downtrend. The good point in all of this is that it made a higher low right here. Now it needs to make a higher high through that. That's the key. Hopefully that helps. Okay, guys, it's getting close to bedtime here. So I am going to check out. Now that I've got the video thing working out better, I'm going to get on here and do more of these. So when I do, I will announce those. In fact, the plan is, since I can't go golfing this weekend, the weather's going to be crappy. I'll probably do some during the day on, I have to work on Saturday until about 2 o'clock, so I may be able to do something Saturday night, and I'm probably more than likely on Sunday, so we may be able to do back-to-back days. So if you got any questions, jot them down. Any charts you want to look at, jot those down. And we'll go over all that stuff, and hopefully, we'll look at Bitcoin and track it and see what's going on. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you all coming in here, and we'll be in touch soon. Take care.